Welcome to the book of Obadiah. Now, the book of Obadiah is the shortest book in the entire Hebrew Bible. It is only one chapter long, just 21 verses. But as you may expect, those 21 verses are packed with eschatological goodness. Now, the book of Obadiah is what is called an oracle against a foreign nation. Now, there are several of the prophets which have sections within them where they condemn not Israel and Judah, but one of the nations that surrounds them. So Isaiah 13 to 23, Jeremiah 46 to 51, Ezekiel 25 to 32, they are all oracles against foreign nations. Well, the book of Obadiah, the entire book is an oracle against a foreign nation, the nation of Edom. Now, this nation, Edom, has the honor, it has the distinct honor of having more oracles directed against it than any other foreign nation. Take a look at this chart. So here we are. These are the oracles against the nations, the biggies in the major prophets, and then some collections in the minor prophets as well. And here are all of the nations that are condemned by Israel's prophets. And if we look at the nation of Edom, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oracles directed against this nation. But it's actually quite a few more than just 5. Take a look at this chart where we see it's something more like 15 different instances where Edom is called out by the prophets of Israel. This is an important chart, and we're going to return to it in a minute. Well, Obadiah's oracle was delivered against Edom at a significant point in Judah's history. Its fall, its destruction in 586 to Babylon. Quick recap. So Josiah, Judah's best king, died in 609. He was killed by Pharaoh Necho. So Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, came up north in order to support the fleeing Assyrian army from the army of Babylon coming from the east. And Josiah tries to stop Pharaoh Necho from doing this, but he dies in the process. And after his death, the nation of Judah is going to cling to life for a mere 22 years. And after that, the last king of Judah, Zedekiah, is going to rebel against Babylon, and Nebuchadnezzar is going to come in with his army, destroy the city, burn the temple to the ground, and deport the vast majority of the population of Judah to Babylon. Well, after that, in comes the nation of Edom. Now, how are they going to respond to this time of Jacob's calamity? Let's take a look at a map. So where is Edom on the map? Now, this is a map that goes a little bit farther back in Israel's history. We have the northern kingdom still present. By the time that Obadiah is written, it's long gone, but this map does show pretty clearly where the nation of Edom is located, there to the southeast of Judah. Let's jump forward in time now to Nebuchadnezzar's campaigns against Judah. He's going to come in from the north. These two lines, red and green. Who's coming in from the south? Let's read this little blurb here. As Judah weakens, the Edomite kingdom takes advantage of the situation by sending troops against Jerusalem. Well, that is not very nice. In the words of Obadiah, he's going to say, on the day of Jacob's calamity, on the day of his misfortune, the day of his disaster, the day of his ruin, do not, Edom, do not cast lots for the city of Jerusalem. Do not enter the gates of Jerusalem in order to loot its wealth. And then, worst of all, cut off its fugitives and hand over its survivors. So here's Babylon knocking on the doors of Jerusalem. They break through the walls, and the people, they're scattered. They run away from the city, and who's waiting for them with swords drawn? But the Edomites to chop off the people trying to flee from the Babylonian army. And then those who they don't kill, they capture and probably sell into slavery. Well, this moment is captured in some of the other prophets' oracles against Edom. Let's take a look at what the other prophets have to say about Edom's violence in this moment of Jacob's calamity. So if we look here, not at a prophet, but at a psalm, the psalmist says, "Remember, O Yahweh, against the Edomites, the day of Jerusalem." That's what's being described here, the day of Jacob's calamity. How those Edomites, well, they said, "Lay it bare, burn it down to its foundations." I'm sure they said it like that too. Let's go down to Ezekiel. There's really good content that Ezekiel has against the Edomites. Here in Ezekiel 35, verse 5, because you, Mount Seir, that's another name for Edom. They have a lot of names, by the way. Because you cherished perpetual enmity and gave the people of Israel over to the power of the sword. Look at this. At the time of their calamity, at the time of their final punishment. Because you said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will take possession of them. Yahweh says, I have heard all of your revilings that you uttered against the mountains of Israel. You say, they are laid waste, they are given to us to devour. Well, you thought you magnified yourself against the mountains of Israel. No, you magnified yourself against me with your mouth and multiplied your words against me, says Yahweh. Jump down to Joel, talking about Edom. Edom will become a desolate wilderness because of the violence done to the people of Judah, cutting off its fugitives. And finally, here in Amos, because Edom pursued his, look at this, his brother with the sword and cast off all pity. His anger tore perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Now, this is another reason, it seems, why the prophets are fixated on Edom. That's because the Edomites are related to the Israelites. They are brother nations. Let's jump back to Obadiah. Obadiah, verse 10. Because of the violence done to your brother, Jacob, do not gloat over the day of your brother, says Obadiah. Now, who is Jacob's twin brother? His twin brother is Esau, and Esau is the ancestor of the Edomites, just like Jacob is the ancestor of the Israelites. Both of them in the book of Genesis got new names. Jacob was called Israel. Esau was called Edom. And this is actually a point that Moses he goes to great lengths to be very explicit about the renaming of Esau. Take a look at chapter 36 of the book of Genesis. It's actually kind of comical. Genesis 36. This is one of those genealogies. We all love the genealogies. These are the generations of Esau. Oh, by the way, that is Edom. So Esau settled in the hill country of Seir. By the way, did I need to tell you that Esau is Edom? These are the sons of Esau. I mean, Edom. Go down to the last verse here. These are all the chiefs of Edom. That is Esau, the father of Edom. Repeats like 5 times. We get it. Esau is Edom. So not only do the Edomites take advantage of their neighbor, they also gloat over, they rejoice over, they boast over the downfall of their brother. Now, this pride, this boasting, is the central accusation of verses 1 through 9. Now, the Edomites, they're very proud of their territory, where they live. They live in the clefts of the rock, and they say that our fortresses are impenetrable. No one can conquer us. Well, Yahweh says, no. From there, from your lofty dwelling, I will bring you down, says Yahweh. And Edom was also famous for its wisdom, being collectors of the wisdom tradition. Now, one of the cities of Edom is called Teman, and Teman is where Eliphaz, one of Job's comforters, is from. And of course, he thought himself as a wise man. And Job himself, he's from the land of Uz. And Lamentations 4:21 kind of gives us a hint that Uz is within the boundaries of Edom. So Edom thinks that they're so very wise, but Obadiah responds, no. In verse 7, you have no understanding, Edom. You think you're so wise? Your own allies are going to turn against you. They will set a trap beneath you and drive you to your border. And then down in verse 10, there's this devastating conclusion where Yahweh says, you, O Edom, you will be cut off forever. Now, many of the oracles against the nations, they conclude with a kind of like a ray of hope for the nation that's being condemned. So in Jeremiah 49, it says, afterward, I will restore the fortunes of the Ammonites. But you never get that for the nation of Edom. Let's return to that chart and try to find some hope, some future hope for Edom. We're going to have to look really hard because it's not there. Start here in Isaiah 34. This is a people, Edom, that I have devoted to destruction, he says. The smoke shall go up from them forever, for generation to generation. The cities of Edom will lie waste. None will pass through them forever and ever. Let's go down to Jeremiah 49, where he says that all of her cities shall be a perpetual waste. Ezekiel 35, I will make you a perpetual desolation, O Mount Seir. Your cities shall not be inhabited. Now down to Malachi. Malachi gets in on this action too. If Edom says, we may be shattered, but we will rebuild, they say, Yahweh says, no, you may rebuild, but then I will tear you down again. For you, Esau, you will be called the wicked country, the people with whom Yahweh is angry forever. Now, many of the foreign nations they will be restored in the millennium. That's what we read about the Ammonites out of Jeremiah 49. They may be ruled over by Israel, but they will have their own sovereignty and they will worship Yahweh alongside Israel. But that's not the case for Edom. Now, there's one other interesting element about these verses in particular. It seems as if our buddy Obadiah copied some lines word for word right out of Jeremiah 49. Let's dig up that chart together. Oops, what's this? We want to look at this chart. There it is. All right. Look at how these, there we go. Get it the perfect size. Look at how the opening 4 verses of Obadiah match these verses out of Jeremiah 49, an oracle against Edom, almost exactly. We've heard a report from Yahweh, a messenger among the nations. Rise up, let the nations rise up for battle against Edom. Behold, I will make you small, Edom, utterly despised among mankind. You see, the pride of your heart, it has deceived you, you who live in the clefts of the rock. From there, from your dwelling, which is like an eagle's nest, I will bring you down, declares the Lord. If thieves came against you by night, wouldn't they only steal just a portion? But no, you will be completely plundered, Edom. They will leave nothing left. Grape gatherers may leave gleanings, but no such gleanings will be left for you. All your wise men will be destroyed, and they will vanish completely. Now, this is most likely part of Obadiah's strategy to collect a whole bunch of oracles against Edom together into one book, one location, for the purpose of expanding that judgment against Edom to all nations. And we're going to see how this works in verses 15 to 21 next.